Hello friends, welcome to engineering classes. By now we have seen what is JMeter, why we use JMeter and how JMeter is related to the performance testing. We have already seen how to install a JMeter. Now let's get started for the knowledge transfer on the JMeter tool. First we will check what are the different JMeter elements. As you can see, these are some of the different JMeter elements like thread, thread group, samplers, listener, timers. Then we have these controllers, parameterizations, correlations, assertions, and recording JMeter. We will check all these elements one by one so that by the end of this playlist, you will get a complete idea how does the JMeter work and you will become comfortable in using the JMeter. Okay, first let's check what is this element itself mean. The different components of JMeter are called elements. So we will use in the upcoming videos and all, we will just use JMeter elements only. First, coming to the first element, that is the thread. What is a thread? Thread is a virtual user. Thread is a virtual user that is a both users. As you can see, I have written here, one thread is equal to one user. So what is these virtual users? Virtual users are just simple user using the application under test. But since instead of users, we have created these bot users that will go and use the test. So the bot users are called as virtual users. Here in JMeter, if I am telling you as one thread, that means I am talking about one virtual user. And the second element is a thread group. So what is a thread group? Thread group is a collection of threads or collection of users. Okay. By now we have seen what is thread. Thread is a virtual user and thread group is a collection of virtual users. Before proceeding to the JMeter application, just get an idea of order of execution also in JMeter. First is configurational element. In the same order, the execution will take place in the JMeter. First element that will get processed is a configurational element and preprocessors. Pre means before. So these preprocessors are the processor that are before the execution. Then we have timers, and then samplers. Then we have post processors that is after. So after the executions, we have some post processors elements also and assertions. Assertions means validation, just to validate something. Now we have seen what is thread, thread group, and the order of execution in JMeter. Now let's get to the JMeter tool. As you can see, a test plan is already here in opening the JMeter. First, what we will do is we will add a thread group. To add a thread group, just right click on this test plan, then go to add. Then you can see thread in bracket users is also written. And then after going to thread, click on this thread group. Thread group is added to this test plan. These are the some of the properties of a thread group. What we can give like number of threads, ramp up period, and the duration and startup delay. We will talk about these in details. But let's give this thread group a proper name. Say I am giving it as group 1. To save it, just click on test plan. As you can see, now it is changed. Just to go back here. We can click anywhere and come back to the same, and the name will be changed. It is group 1 now. Here the properties, first property is number of threads. So for example, if I give 10 here, then this thread group will give 10 requests to the server. Okay, these are the number of iterations. Number of threads, number of users means these are the number of iterations that a thread will give the server. The ramp up period, time it is required to ramp up. The second is loop count. Loop count, if I give 1, then it will be like 10 into 1. The result will be 10 requests. If I give a loop count of 2, means One loop count will have 10 and the second loop count will also have 10. Now we will have total 20 requests. So loop count is like number iterative count. First loop will have 10 threads and the second loop will also have the 10 thread. Same way. To get the total number of threads, you can just simply multiply them 2 into 10 into 20. If you select this infinite, then what will happen is it will keep on sending the request to the servers infinitely. The threads will be 10 only, but these 10 threads will keep on repeating until you manually go and stop the test. Okay. So for example, for now, let's give it 2 only. Now coming to specified thread lifetime. If I clicked on this checkbox, these fields become selectable. That is duration and startup delay. So written it here. What is startup delay? This is startup delay. The delay for which JMeter waits before starting the iterations. It is the startup time. It is the duration for which the JMeter wait before it will start the iterations. Say for example, if I will give here 5 seconds, then the JMeter will wait for 5 seconds before pushing any messages or no request will be sent to the server till 5 seconds. So it is a delay. Coming to second one, that is duration. Duration is the amount of time for which thread group will run. Means it is like a test duration time or test duration for this particular thread. That is the amount of time for which thread will run or the duration of the thread group. If you give here say around 100 seconds, then this thread will run for 100 seconds only. Whether we have achieved the required count or not, that doesn't matter, but that is the duration for this test. It will automatically stop after 100 seconds if we give here 100. Okay, so we have seen what is startup delay. That is the delay for which the JMeter wait, and duration is the test duration for this particular thread. Now we have some these properties also, like action to be taken after a sampler error. Say we have added some sampler to this thread group, and out of these samplers, few have some errors. A few threads are going to error. So what will this thread group do? It will go according to these settings. By default, a continue is selected. Continue means it will do nothing. If out of these 10 threads, one thread has error, then it will do nothing. It will just show that this is going in error phase. Option 2, that is start next thread loop. What it will do, it will stop the execution for the loop having error. Means here we have given two loops, and out of in one loop, out of all the requests, one has error. Then it will stop the execution for the first loop and will continue for the execution of the second loop. Let me repeat it again. So for example, we have two loops having 10, 10 each, and in first loop having 10 iterations, one of the loops has one of the iteration has error. Then what this start next thread loop will do is it will stop the execution for this loop and will directly go to the next loop. Okay. Coming to the third one, that is stop thread. If out of all the request, if one of the request has error, then it will directly go and stop the execution for the complete thread. So for example, we are sending 20 requests from this group 1. 2 into 10, 20 requests we are sending in this group 1. Out of these 20, if say for example, even if one of the request has error and we have selected this stop thread settings, then it will directly stop the execution for the remaining also. And it will switch to some other group. If in our test plan, if we have some other group, then it will go to that group. Stop test. Stop test means even if we have one error in all our complete test, it will stop the test. but it will stop smoothly. Smoothly by means, if a request is in 50% completion stage, it is not yet completed. So it will complete that request, but it will not take any new request to start execution. It will simply just stop taking new request and will, once it that is complete, like it will take 1 2 seconds to complete all the request and all, and then it will stop the test. The fifth one is stop test now, means it will abruptly stop the test. Means once we have an error in one of the requests, it will just simply stop the test abruptly. Even if other requests are in mid phase or something, it will not, it doesn't matter to him. It will just stop the test. So only this much for related to the thread group. Thank you.